What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. Today we are breaking down Connor Cook and Phillip Walker, the quarterbacks for the Houston Roughnecks, giving you a fantasy football player breakdown for 2020. Not going to waste any time. Let's get started right away. All right, guys. So let's break down both of these guys here. Now I'm combining both Connor Cook and Phillip Walker into the same video because right now we still don't know who the starter is going to be, but the guy that ends up getting the job I think will be a phenomenal fantasy asset to own in the XFL. But we'll start with who I think will end up winning the job in Connor Cook, and then we'll jump over to Phillip Walker. Now, Connor Cook, played in Michigan State. Decent frame, decently big guy, 6'4", 217 pounds, decent hand size, somewhat fast as well. 4.7 is pretty good for a quarterback in the 69th percentile. Not the greatest Wonderlic score, but that doesn't necessarily matter in the XFL, now does it? So let's look at his college stats. He played, like I said, for Michigan State. I believe he redshirted the first year and didn't really play much the second year, so we kind of throw those 2 years out. But the 3 seasons that he did play, averaged right around 3,000 yards, close to 60% completion percentage, and right around an 8 yards per attempt. So decent yards per attempt, nothing great. 71 touchdowns over that time frame and only 22 interceptions. So he did a really good job of protecting the ball at Michigan State. And overall, like I said, I think he's just a really good talent for the XFL. Wasn't able to cut it in the NFL. He played for the Raiders for a while and just wasn't a great backup, but I think this is a really good chance for him to show everyone that he still has the ability to play. From a rushing perspective, he always did a little bit of rushing in college, averaging right around 200 yards each year and had a couple touchdowns. So not quite the dual threat quarterback that you might hope for. Definitely more of a pocket passer, but I think he can get it done, especially in this offense that's going to be, often seeing 3-4 wide receiver sets. Going to be a lot of passing happening in Houston. I think Connor Cook really fits that mold really well. Let's jump over to PJ Walker, Phillip Walker, and take a look at him. So a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller frame than you see with Connor Cook, about the same speed overall. So but being that he's smaller is going to help him a little bit when he's running. Not sure if from a passing perspective if that really affects him too much. We'll have to see what some of the other defenders look like and just get some overall stats from the XFL as we get some more information. But Phillip Walker played for Temple in college. Pretty similar yards per season. He averaged right around 3,000. Now, Michigan State definitely played in a harder conference than Temple did, but his yards per attempt were actually lower, right at 7.3. Had one really low year at 6.1 down here. Had about the same amount of touchdowns, even playing one extra season, but had a lot more interceptions, so a much lower touchdown to interception ratio for Phillip Walker as compared to Connor Cook. And from a rushing perspective, didn't really do too much on the ground. I mean, he had a couple good years. His first 2 years, he had 488 yards. Second year, he had 478. And then it just started to dip down over time. 9 touchdowns over the course of 4 years. So, I mean, overall, I think Phillip Walker, you could definitely argue, is the better runner between the two guys. But as long as Connor Cook still has that arm, I think he's the better passer. And for an offense that's going to be centered around throwing the ball deep, throwing the ball often, and then hitting guys up the gut with the power run, I just feel like Connor Cook is the better fit for that system and that scheme, but we'll see what happens. Regardless of who gets the job, both of these guys can get it done, and I like them as a very high quarterback profile in the XFL for fantasy purposes. So once we know who the starter is, we'll adjust our rankings and go from there. But overall, I think whoever gets the starting job is going to be a really good asset in fantasy football for the XFL. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be breaking down all of the fantasy relevant players here at the Fantasy Addiction Network, and we will see you in the next video.